Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to England once again, and we're going to revisit a brewery that I've done a number of collaboration reviews from, but I've never actually done a dedicated review to them if memory serves me correctly. So for this one we're going to go to Derbyshire and visit the Buxton Brewery once again, and this is my first dedicated review to these guys like I just said. So for this one we're having a taste of their Kentucky Woods, which is an Imperial Stout coming in at 13.8%. This one has been barrel aged using Heaven Hill casks from the Heaven Hill distillery over in Bardstown in Kentucky in America, and it's apparently a pretty damn good beer. This is a limited edition one, and from what I understand, this one was one of the small partiers on the 19th of October 2018 through Systembolaget here in Sweden. From what I understand, this is a limited edition beer, so really looking forward to trying this one. Looking forward to my first dedicated review to Buxton, of course, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done involving Buxton Brewery before. Like I said, this is my first dedicated review to them, but I've done a number of collaboration beers, and I'm sure I'll review some more from these guys in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the English beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about the Buxton Brewery then. So as the name suggests, the Buxton Brewery is based in Buxton, which is actually a spa town in Derbyshire in England, and this brewery was founded back in 2010 by Jeff Quinn, and for a long time it was staffed only by 5 people. But the local area is known as the Peak District, and it's famed for its water, which has apparently been revered since Roman times. But they named the town Aqua Arnamitia, which literally translates to the waters of the goddess of spring, and most of their beers are actually named after local geographical and geological features around the Buxton area. The tower that's on quite a few of their labels is actually called Solomon's Temple, or Grinlow Tower, which was a folly tower built simply for decoration basically. But the Buxton beers have won many accolades, and the brewery's been consistently ranked in the world top 100 breweries by Rate Beer, of course, the peer reviewing site. But at full capacity these guys can produce well over 60,000 litres of beer per month, and their beers are now exported to around 20-30 different countries around the world. But they are probably one of the better known and one of the more long established, I guess you could say, English craft breweries. I mean, the likes of Wylam, Cloudwater, Verdant, Dea, on Beavertown, of course, all of these guys have really made a name for themselves, but Buxton have been one of these ones that have kind of been quietly on the sidelines but producing some awesome stuff. But we do get their beers over here in Sweden, and I think they have kind of quietly been growing their exports over the last little while. But a very good brewery in my experience. The collaboration beers I've had involving these guys have been really nice, and this one is one, like I say, that I'm definitely looking forward to. So if you're interested in English beer, this is a brewery that you definitely want to check out. I would highly recommend them. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, you can follow them on Facebook and on Instagram. You can check out the brewery website in the description below, or of course you can just try their beers, and that's what we're going to do just now. But yeah, check out all the links in the description below, and we'll get on to the tasting of this beer itself. So yeah, just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one before we open it up. Just get rid of that. The brewery notes now that we've done that. So there, as you can see, there's the still, which I'm guessing is a representation of the Heaven Hill in the background there. I do like this one, how it's got the trees and things like that. It's really nicely presented, this beer, I have to say. I like how everything kind of goes together with this one. You can see plain bottle cap on this, of course. It doesn't really say very much on the bottle actually. It just says single distillery bourbon barrel aged, 13.8%. brewed and bottled at Buxton Brewery, Staden Lane, Buxton, England. But yeah, aged for 12 months in fresh Kentucky oak, which previously held one of the finest bourbon whiskies. So yeah, as I say, this one aged for 12 months in Heaven Hill distillery casks, and it says bottled on the 20th of September 2018, best before the 20th of September 2023. So yeah, the Heaven Hill distillery apparently is one of the, I think it's one of the bigger distilleries in Kentucky, but it's still family owned. one of the more famous ones actually, because I remember Brewdog did, I forget the name of them now, but they did one of their big Imperials, the Paradox series, that's it, they did one of their Paradox beers with Heaven Hill a number of years ago. I still have that beer actually sitting aging, but yeah, it's, you know, they're from Bardstown in Kentucky as well, but there's supposed to be some really good bourbon whiskies there. But let's get this guy out then, and we'll get on with the tasting. A 13.8% Imperial Stout. So yeah, very nice smoky opening on that. Oh, and it smells really good as well. So let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. You can hear the dog running around upstairs. Shell, the Border Terrier. Maybe he can make a guest appearance on one of the videos at some point. But yeah, look at that. Pretty much as you would expect from an Imperial Stout. So this guy, you could see how kind of syrupy that was when you open up. There's some lovely big chocolatey notes coming out of this one, a lot of big dark brown sugars there. As you can see with this beer, if I hold it up to the light, it's got a very light kind of Coca-Cola edge to it, but it's poured a nice dark ebony rosewood colour. You could see there was about a quarter finger of a frothy beige tan head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, you know, it does look pretty nice, I have to say. So if you get the chance, just have a little quick look at it, but it looks pretty much as you would expect from an Imperial Stout. So let's take a closer look at the nose then and just see how we get on with this one. Oh, that smells like an absolute monster of a beer. So yeah, with this one, a lot of dark chocolatey notes to this beer, as you would expect. Quite high cocoa chocolate, you know, around the 80-90% mark. There's a little touch of a kind of sweeter chocolatey note to it as well. There's a lot of brown sugar in this one. It's quite a big syrupy kind of treacle molasses sort of thing. I think there's a little bit of a kind of bready base to this as well, but it's got a nice earthy, almost coffee-ish component to it, which is quite interesting. But the coffee, I would say, the coffee notes that come out of this beer are fairly light and it's quite smooth. It's definitely got a bit of a roasted black malty note to it as well, and some nice earthy hops. When I'm drinking this stout quite young, you obviously could age this for quite a little bit, but I really wanted to do a dedicated Buxton review on the channel. So this stout is quite young. I'm sure in terms of flavour and stuff it would smooth out and things like that and sweeten up a little bit as you went further and further into it. But it smells, you know, absolutely lovely, this beer. Good little bit of earthy hop in it. Nice sort of almost coffee-ish smoothness, like I was saying. There's definitely a touch of bready quality in there, a sort of dark and well-fired like roll crust or something like that. Definitely got a little bit of that going on. Chocolate, high cocoa, also milky chocolate in there as well. Yeah, nice bit of red fruit. It's got a sort of figgy but pruny sort of note coming out of it, this beer. A little bit of a plum raisiny sharpness as well, I would say. And you can pick up a little bit of a kind of oaky vanilla, you know, from this one. It's not too obvious, but it's quite subtle actually. It's definitely got a little bit of an oaky quality to it, this beer. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy that for yourself. Enjoy the aroma before you get stuck into this beer, because it does smell really, really quite nice. When you go a little bit, if you do the chemist's waft to it, as I always say, this is what you do if you've got ammonia or something really pungent in the lab. You know, just take a little bit of time and enjoy that aroma before you get stuck into it. Because when you sugar it up, you start to get more of that sort of coffee-ish note that I was talking about, a bit more of the roasted black malt and some of the earthy hops as well. But this beer has pretty much everything that you would want from an Imperial Stout. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy it before you get stuck into it. But let's have a taste of this beer now. So this one is the Kentucky Woods, a bourbon barrel-aged, Heaven Hill bourbon barrel-aged Imperial Stout from the Buxton Brewery in Buxton in Derbyshire in England. It should be an absolute beast of a beer. One of the small partiers through Systembolaget here in Sweden on the 19th of October 2018. So let's get stuck into this one then. Slange, skål. Ooh. Yeah. It's really interesting, that beer. You know, I was expecting from the aroma for it to have a good little bit of earthiness and that kind of smooth coffee-ish note to it, and it definitely does. As you, you know, I'm sure as you age this beer, you will get more and more. It will sort of smoothen out and sweeten up and things a little bit as it stands. It's just got a nice, it leans a little bit towards that roasty, toasty side of things, which is really nice. I do like that with Imperial stouts. I'm always in two mind with these beers, because you're always kind of like, should I save it a little bit and let it age out, or should I, drink it kind of soon? And it just depends what you like. If you like things to be a bit more roasty toasty, drink the stouts younger. If you like them to be a little bit sweeter and smoother and things like that, drink them a bit later. But this, as it stands, it's really pretty bloody nice, I have to say. But yeah, that's a good beer. I mean, if you get the chance to try this, I don't think it cost too much, this. I think it was about £60 that I paid for this one. So I mean, or it might have even been 70, so it was about £6 roughly. £6, €7 for this bottle. For what it is, 13% beer, it's not too bad. It really isn't that bad. Especially considering it's an English beer as well, so it'll have to have come across the sea basically, rather than just being on the back of a truck. But yeah, it's a good beer, that. I mean, it's, at the moment, it's got a nice bit of hoppiness, a nice bit of coffee quality to it as well. But yeah, I like what this one is going for. So let's try and break this down a little bit. So yeah, in the middle of your palate then you can feel there's that nice roasty, toasty sort of black malt base to it. You can feel that just kind of forming the linchpin of the beer. That comes out a little bit more the further that you go into the aftertaste. There's a little bit of a slightly brown bready note kind of sitting on top of that as well, which is nice. Right in the centre of the palate you've got some of the nice high cocoa, dark chocolatey notes there as well, and then right in the very dead centre of your palate you've got some nice brown sugary kind of treacle molasses sort of things in there as well. But yeah, everything in this beer goes together really quite nicely. Even as a young beer, I think this is really, really nice. So as you come further forward on the palate of this one, you can definitely pick out the sort of woody notes to this one. You can feel that just towards the front of your palate. It's definitely got a little touch of the vanilla coming out as well, right in just in front of that dead centre of your palate. If you go forward a little bit, you can feel the sort of oaky vanilla notes to this one as well coming out, which is really nice. And it has a little bit of that kind of whiskey presence to it as well. It's definitely got a little bit of that bourbon note. And the thing I've always said about bourbon and Scotch whiskies from home is that the Scotch ones are always just a little bit darker. I've always found when it goes to, even when you look at beers and things like that, the American beers are always just a little bit more sugary and sweet. The Americans seem to have quite a sweet tooth, to be quite honest, when it comes to a lot of these things. I've always found bourbon just to be a little bit leaning more towards that kind of brown sugary side of things compared with the sort of Scotch, the Scotch whiskies and things like that. And you can definitely pick up a little bit of that in this beer as well. The sort of whiskey notes that it has are a little bit sweeter, but in a way they're kind of nullified a bit by the presence of the earthy hop in this and that almost coffee-ish base that the beer has, which is good. But yeah, it's a nice beer, this one. I like how everything goes together in this. It is young, and I will say that I think as as it would age a little bit, the hops would drop and just smooth out a little bit, and the roasty black malt would maybe be complemented a little bit more with some sweetness. As it stands, it's quite a roasty, toasty stout, but it is even as it is well balanced with the sweeter side of the malt base. But everything goes together really quite well at the moment. But I think age this one a little bit and it will really sweeten up a little bit, but it's a very, very good beer as it stands. So don't be scared to open it up just now. If you like your stouts a little bit roasty toasty, you will really quite enjoy this one, and it's got that nice sort of barrel aged presence to it as well. As I say, I like how everything goes together with this one. Back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of a kind of earthy hoppiness there. As I say, there's a good little bit of bitterness to this, but it smooths out as you come further forward, and as you reach the front corners of the palate there, There's a little bit of floral quality then round the very front curve of the palate. It's got a nice lighter kind of grassy component to it. The way the earthiness is coming out in this one, I wouldn't be surprised if there's English hops in this one. It's like, you know, maybe, I don't know, you've got the likes of Kent Goldings, I don't know if it's quite Fugels, it could be Fugels right enough. Fugels is a really nice hop in terms of stouts and things like that, but it's one that I've always hated when it's used in golden ales and IPAs and stuff. It just, for me, it just does not work in those beer styles, but in an Imperial stout like this, it could work very well. But I think from the slightly darker quality that the earthiness has in this beer, I'm pretty sure they'll have used English hops in this one. They might have used a little bit of an American hop as well, like Williamette or something, or Summit I think is another quite popular one that they like to use in Imperial stouts. I think they'll have used that in this one just to get that little bit of red fruity quality out of the beer. Yeah, I think there's a mix of hops in here. I think there's got to be, the way the earthiness is coming out, I think there's got to be an English hop in there, because the earthiness is quite strong. But that said, you know, the hop is fairly young, and that earthiness that the beer has builds a good bridge with that almost coffee-ish, that coffee-ish quality that the beer has, and the roasty black malts. There's a good bridge going on there. But then as you go behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that nice little oily bubble, where those juicy, fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And for me, this one, it's well balanced. It's got a good little mix of sharpness, but also some juiciness as well. Yeah, there's a little bit of a raisiny, plummy sharpness to this one, but it's got a nice bit of a juicy red. It's got a nice bit of a juicy kind of candied fruit to it as well. But I think raisins, a little bit of a raisiny sharpness, but then it's got a kind of pruny, figgy sort of thing. But then when you go further into the aftertaste, it's the earthiness, the black malts, and a little bit of that very slight sort of coffee flavour that this beer has that just kind of take over the mouth. There's a little bit of the red fruits on the front part of the palate for me, but overall, like I say, this is a really nice beer as it stands. I always like that with the Imperial Stout, how you can go from one that's very, very sweet, you can get one that's kind of well balanced in the middle, and then you can get the ones that are really nice and roasty toasty. And if you want to go even further than that, of course, you've got the coffee stouts and things like that. But this one for me is really nice as it stands, and the way the whisky notes come out as well are very nice as well. It comes out in a way that it just complements the slightly darker character that this beer has. I mean, in terms of defining this, it's probably like an English Imperial Stout. It's got that darker sort of roasty, earthy kind of quality to it. It is more like an English Imperial Stout compared to the sort of the slightly sweeter American variant, but it's got that nice little bit of sweetness from the American whiskey component that's in there. So it's a really interesting combination of flavours, this one. As it is, as I say, it's very young. You could age it a little bit and it will smooth out, but as it stands, it's a very nice beer, so don't be scared to have a go at it. I'm drinking this beer, I think, when it's only, what did it say? I'm drinking this beer when it's basically a month. It's been in the bottle about a month, so this one has come across to Sweden pretty fresh, I would say, but as it stands, it is a nice beer, so have a go at it for yourself. In terms of the mouthfeel then, definitely a full-bodied beer, this one. Yeah, full-bodied, not much to doubt about that. Carbonation's very smooth. It's got a good balance between a wet and an oily mouthfeel, this one. It's kind of somewhere in the middle, and I've always found that with the Buxton beers. Maybe it's due to that local water that they have, as I say, revered since Roman times. It has got a slightly wetter feel to it, and I find Scottish beers and Icelandic beers were the ones that I always remember as having a really minerally quality to them, and you can feel the quality of the water in this beer. Some people argue that the water doesn't affect the beer flavour, but that's rubbish. For me, it does. You know, it's chemistry. Your mouth is going to detect these things. The way your taste buds actually work, it's all to do with mineral chemistry and things like that. But with this one, as I say, the malt base leans a little bit more towards the roasty, toasty side of things, but there is a bit of sweetness there to balance it. As you age this beer, the sweetness will come out a little bit more. Good little bit of hoppy bitterness in it as well. I would guess overall that this beer is maybe somewhere around the 50 IBU mark, somewhere kind of around that mid-range, and some of it will come from the malt base, some of it will also come from the hops, but a nice little bit of juicy fruit both to back up the bitterness there. But as I say, as you age this one, the hops will drop a little bit, and the malty sweetness will come out a little bit more, and I think the IBU level would drop as well. But overall, a lovely beer this, and I'm glad that I got to review this. This is a pretty cool one to do as my first dedicated review to Buxton, so hopefully I can try a few more of their Imperial Stouts in the future. So the good way to summarise this one, English style Imperial Stout with the roasty toasty qualities, but then it's also got a little bit of that slightly sweeter American whisky note to it. If you like your Imperial Stouts to be a little bit roasty toasty, you will enjoy this one. If you want it a little bit more kind of mellow, just age it a little bit and I'm sure it will smooth out. But as it stands, a lovely beer, and I'm very glad I got to review it. So let's leave it at that for this one. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do check out my social media. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from the Buxton Brewery as well, and make sure you check out some of their things too. They do some great beers, both on the dark side of the spectrum and on the lighter side of the spectrum. You know, as I say, one of the English breweries that I've kind of stayed in the background a little bit, but they're producing very solid stuff. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews, and I will catch you guys very soon. This was the Kentucky Woods, a 13.8% Imperial Stout, aged in Heaven Hill casks from Bardstown in Kentucky over in America, brewed by the Buxton Brewery in Buxton, Derbyshire in England. Until the next time, slàinte just now, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Skål.